He's an OG when it comes to modern B2B content creation and is the founder of one of the most successful communities in B2B. The former CMO at Drift and Privy, please join me in welcoming the one and only Dave Gerhardt.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm sitting next to the worst marketer in the world. This is being live streamed to my LinkedIn. What could possibly go wrong?
It's going to be iconic. It'll be great.
Polar opposites.
My impulses are going right now. Please don't tempt me.
It's all good.
So Dave, community is a huge part of building an own media strategy, and you've done this better than anyone, right? So how can SaaS companies leverage communities in 2024?
Well, I think, so what I've done is build, I think there's a difference between building a community and building community. And I think a lot of people get that definition mixed up, or they think like, I'm at a company and that means we need to build a private Slack group, or we need to, like Exify, we use a product called Circle, I need to have it on Circle. Where I think what most companies need to focus on more is building a community as opposed to building community as opposed to having something behind a paywall or a closed door. And so community really is just a group of like-minded people with shared interests. And we talked about this a lot earlier. I was on with Alex and Devin, and we talked about in B2B, you are trying to help someone most of the time do their job better. And so that could be HR, finance, sales, marketing. In my case, it's been B2B marketing, right? And so the opportunity is to not really, I think too many companies focus on the product and service that they offer as opposed to focusing on their persona that they're trying to sell to. Take the selling completely out of it and say like, okay, this is Brianna, here's what she does. She works in finance. She cares about these three things. We want to become the go-to resource for her. And then that can play out on different channels. It could be LinkedIn, it could be YouTube, it could be a community, it could be a newsletter, it could be a blog. There are lots of ways to do it, but I think it's about rallying around that shared interest and trying to become the go-to resource for your ideal customer before they're ready to buy. The trick is, the way to do it is to not ever talk about your product, not sell your product. You have to do it with the genuine interest of like, how do I help this customer? I love this mission of owned media. I think it's more important than ever to own your audience. I think community fits right in there.
So where does the paywall come in? Like for companies that are looking to monetize it as well?
Well, I think a paywall can be different things. It could mean like if you sell a product or service, like I don't sell a product or service. We have a community. The product is a paid community. And so in our case, you're going to pay to get access to the community. But if I was doing this at a software company, for example, it could just mean there's a login page, right? It's just content that's not accessible for everybody. We're building a community of 100 finance pros in this particular niche. I don't think the paid has to be a part of it. But I also think you can build community across multiple channels. A company that I think is doing a really good job of this today is Apollo. I don't know if you've seen them here today. They had like the paparazzi boys or something like that. It's like some crazy TikTok account. They're chasing everybody around filming videos. But they've done a great job building community, and the way they've done that has been through LinkedIn. Or Gong is a good example of a couple years ago. They really kind of owned LinkedIn, focusing on, hey, salespeople are on LinkedIn. Let's become the go-to resource for them. Where do they hang out? That's on LinkedIn. That's where we're gonna have our content.
Awesome.
So Dave, I got a question for you. Community is very close to my heart.
Okay.
And Exit 5 just turned 2 recently. So I got to know, like, what is your biggest learning 2 years into doing this?
My biggest learning is just the power of focus. You have to focus. I have multiple times in my career, and again in building Exit 5, I think with content and own media and trying to build an audience, it's very easy to, we're going to do a little bit of TikTok, we're going to do a little bit of YouTube, we're going to do a little bit of email, we're going to do a little bit of LinkedIn. And every time I've done that, and I see lots of companies in this space do it, it's like, post a video on YouTube, that YouTube video has 17 views.
Yep.
And you're like, why is this not working? Versus what we've done is, I've wasted a bunch of my own money doing this. Like, oh, I'm going to hire this agency for 3 months, so we're going to make a bunch of TikTok videos, and I'm not committed to that strategy, and it goes nowhere. Versus, like, in the niche that I'm in, LinkedIn is the most important channel. I need to remind myself to just keep doubling down on that channel until it doesn't work anymore. And so it's really focusing on, like, we're focusing on LinkedIn and our newsletter as an example. When you try to be in too many places at once and you split that, I don't think that's where you're going to be successful. I like focusing on one or two channels from an audience building standpoint.
Absolutely.
I do just want to repeat the line that you said to me off the record before because I thought it was a great joke and I just want people to know. Todd said to me, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm Mr. Rogers up top and I'm Brooklyn on the bottom.
That is,
Thank you, sir.
I love that. So we had to put that on the record.
they are some very flashy dunks, I must say, Todd.
Yeah, those are pretty iconic.
One thing I think a lot of brand marketers are finding is that to stand out, you have to have some level of personality. Like the brand has to have a voice of something that's different from everyone else, right? You gave a couple of good examples earlier. Yeah. How can marketers start thinking about how they can do that to stand out competitively?
Yeah. Isn't your LinkedIn picture upside down?
No, I think that was Chelsea Castles.
Okay. I see the purple background.
You're
I see the purple and
you're getting confused with Will Ora. That hurt.
No, did that hurt?
No, it's time to get tagged in Will Ora. No, he's the email guy.
You gotta stand
I'm
out.
the guy who makes fun of marketers and then gets put on a marketing panel.
That's what you get.
Which is like, I'm feeling some anger towards me today at this event. I don't know why. I think it's when I said.
No, I didn't help your cause.
Yeah, no. Will Aitken.
Right.
It's confusing, but
All
no.
right.
So my question. How can marketers get that personality in the content? Because we know how we all show up, right? I know your personality from your content.
Well, I think there's you can have your individual personality, but I think it comes down to having the brand. Like the brand has to have a clear point of view, and the brand can have a personality. And I think what people do is they try to over-index on being funny or trying to make cute content. But if that doesn't match to the overall company strategy, it's not going to land. And so I'd rather see the company strategy have a clear point of view and have a personality than just we're being I see everybody loves memes. I love memes too, right? Memes can work, but that can't be your only that can't be your only social media strategy. You have to it has to fit in with what the brand's doing. And so more than trying to inject personality and try to be witty and try to be funny, I'd rather see somebody try to be the go-to resource for somebody, and how you deliver that, the way you write. I do know who you are, and I have seen your writing. You inject personality in the way that you write, and so you deliver on the content, and the way that each one of us is going to write might be a little bit different, but we're all aligned to achieving the same brand mission. I think it comes back to that is the most important marketing strategy overall is let's get aligned on what we're doing. I think what AK and JK and the team here and now Todd, the team at Audience Plus is doing and really owning this idea of owned media, I think that goes further than and we're really funny. I don't think you need to be that. I think you have to have a clear point of view. We believe owned media is the way. Here's how to do it. And then within that framework, you inject your personality into that. Yeah.
Are there any pitfalls you'd recommend marketers avoid while they're trying to figure out that personality and inject it in?
I think there's lots of pitfalls, but I think you have to be really close to the customer and the audience. And that's what I think is so amazing about social media and content. I think we're lucky to be around this event with a lot of marketers who get social media and get content. The challenge is, I think it has to land with the audience. And that's what social media is great for, is that really quick feedback loop. I can post something on LinkedIn and really quickly, a couple years ago, I wrote this line, life is too short to work for a CEO who doesn't get marketing. I didn't sit in some room and plan out that line. I just probably was just out for a walk and I just thought it because I was frustrated about something that day and I wrote it. And that post blew up. That's a signal for me that, the audience is interested in this topic. Let's go create more content around that. Now let's double down. I think social media gives you that feedback loop. And so there are lots of pitfalls to avoid, but I think that you have to be out there publishing regularly to get that feedback loop going. I talk to CEOs, founders who want to be involved in content, but they might want to write on LinkedIn once a week. You're just not going to get the feedback loop going quick enough to make meaningful progress there. And so a pitfall would be put the imposter syndrome aside. You just got to start creating content and figuring out what works, and so you can have a bunch of ideas to whittle it down to find your one or two lanes. I'm sure maybe right out of the gate, Anthony wasn't super clear on calling it owned media, but after being out there talking to companies, talking to customers, writing about it online, you're maybe this is the niche that we're going to go after, and that's how we get there. It's such an advantage. You don't have to spend $1 to do it. That's why I love this idea of audience building.
I think
you said something really interesting there about whittling it down into the main things that you want to say, and then just figuring out how to repeat that versus a lot of people when they create content, it's like, all right, I either have to hop on every latest trend that there is, or I'll say something once, but like I gotta figure out something new to say the next day.
Yeah, I think you need to have like 2 or 3, and I don't know if the number is 2 or 3 or 6, and so don't take it literally. It's like somebody says the best time of day to post on LinkedIn is 1 o'clock, and then everyone does that. But I think it's picking like 2 or 3 storylines and having those things that you repeat over and over and over and over again. And so if I was out there trying to build this brand around owned media, I don't want to have 100 different ways to. I don't want to say that 100 different ways. I want to have 2 or 3 kind of tracks that we're talking about over and over and over, and within there you can mix in your personality and be personable, relatable, etc.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Any final thoughts, advice for marketers that are trying to build this brand personality for themselves?
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time, and I think a lot of us, you're still figuring out. You're still figuring out the lane to operate in. I also think that it evolves over time. It's not just one narrative, one voice forever. I think it's a constant work in progress. I think you got to be curious and see what other companies are doing. Like I'm obsessed with watching what other people are writing, how other people are talking about it, and I think that like the greatest resource a marketer has is to think of everything as like a swipe file, right? Like I see all these ideas and examples, and so when I'm going to go write, I have plenty of ideas. Like, oh man, I saw this thing that Todd wrote the other day. That was really interesting. He's talking about it this way. We're actually doing it this way, but I saw the reaction to his post. Like the best marketers I know are curious like that and kind of always have a idea about what other people are saying and doing and figuring out how you can apply to that. I also do think some of it is a volume game. Not to like just get out there and just spray and pray nonsense everywhere, but you do have to have a number of like reps and posts over and over and over and over to figure out what works. It's like writing a good subject line or a good headline for an article or something. Like if you think you're just going to sit there and write the very first headline that comes out of your fingers is just going to be fire, that's not going to happen. You might have to write 10. Like we were just trying to come up with a name for our event. We're doing an event in September for Exit 5. We must have written 20 names out in Slack, and we were like, nope. That's the one. Nope. Sleep on it. That's the one, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to be willing to go through that process and just like give it time, let things marinate, sleep on it. Be willing to throw out 30 bad ideas to get the one good idea. That's where you'll make a lot of progress.
Yeah. So you can tell us, is the event name going to be maple syrup?
So Brianna has inside information. She has inside information from dinner last night. It's not going to be called maple syrup, but there might be maple syrup for the event. I told the story about how my wife and I were dating. I thought she was nuts because we would go on a date to breakfast, and she would pull out her own maple syrup in her purse. And somebody asked me, is it true that you can't have, like once you have the real maple syrup, you can't have the fake stuff? And I always thought that was a bunch of nonsense. And now that I'm up there, I can confirm that it's true. We will have maple syrup. It's factored into the ticket price. So come. It'll be there. I can tell the event is going to be called Drive. That's the event that we came up with. Drive from Exit 5. It's going to be September 11th and 12th.
Rhymes. I love that.
Drive. Yeah, no big
Good
deal.
choice,
We
dude.
do marketing here. You know, we dabble.
Dang.
So it's in September 11th and 12th in Burlington, Vermont. And being at this event, I'm like, let's have our event now. I'm fired up.
Can't wait. It's going to be epic. Well, thank you so much, Dave. It was great chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Good to see you all.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very
See
much.
you.
Handshakes all around.
I agree.
Handshakes all around. I'll see you all later. Thank
you
you.
Table
later.
syrup is not maple syrup. Just gonna make sure.
Ooh, I
as the
like
man who lives in
that.
Canada,
I like that.
You will
It's
offend
called table syrup.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
Oh.
Maple flavored syrup is the one.
Table syrup. I
Sneak
love
that word
that.
in there.
Love that. All right.
Thank you.